What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and we are back with a new top 10 for you guys today. And today we are taking a look at top 10 single player creatures. Now guys, this list is going to try and cover as many aspects of the single player world, I guess you could say, as possible. So guys, without further ado, let's jump straight into the list. Alrighty guys, so coming in at number 10, we have the Thylacoleo. This guy is great for traversing the maps of Ark and just getting around everywhere, as well as dealing with any sort of hostile things you come across. This guy is a really tanky dude. He's got a lot of stamina, he's got a lot of melee damage, and that is probably a bad thing to showcase it on a modded creature. But this guy can easily deal with the likes of Rexes and whatnot, and he's just a straight out beast. Like, he can easily take him on. Now, our dude's only got 364 melee damage, but you can obviously level this guy up, and he is capable of dealing with Rexes, Spinos. Definitely not the Giga side of things, but Rexes and Spinos, they can definitely be fought with the Thylacoleos. As well as that, he's able to traverse pretty much 90-degree angles. You can see there, we are able to climb up the cliff face. As long as the angle is relatively straight, the Thylacoleo is able to scale it. You can see here, this is a little bit probably problematic for him. No, he's able to get up that one pretty well. Yeah, you can see there. So this guy is great, especially if you want to try and just get around the map and you want to explore the redwoods and build like a treehouse base. You can do that with this guy because he's able to climb up the trees and whatnot, making things a lot easier. As well as that, if you want to get to a supply drop that's on the top of the mountain face, this guy can do that as well. So there is a lot of things this guy can do. And in terms of taming him, he's not too difficult. You just got to make sure you find the right one and find him before he finds you. Otherwise, he will pounce off his tree and pretty much just straight up murder you. So you do need to be very careful of that. But other than that, guys, the Thylacoleo comes in at number 10 on this list. Now guys, coming in at number 9, we have the Baryonyx. The Baryonyx is like the Thylacoleo, except a little bit more upgraded in my opinion, because the Baryonyx has the ability to pretty much traverse water. And, you know, he doesn't have a oxygen cost. The character itself has an oxygen cost, but you can easily use this guy to traverse small rivers, small streams, small lakes. You can, even if you're feeling frisky, go out into the ocean with this guy, and he is able to put up a fight against most things out there. Obviously, if you're going to go after like Mosasaurs and maybe even Plesiosaurs, you might struggle a little bit. But this guy is really good for going around. Now, he does utilize stamina while swimming, but if you sit still, your stamina actually regenerates, so that's not too much of a problem. Like I said, he does have the ability to stun creatures underwater as well, enabling him to finish them off relatively easy, and you can continuously just stun them with his secondary attack. As well as that, if you do want to take him out into the big old world on land, you can do so, and he does put up a fight on land as well. Obviously, you will need to pump this guy in a few levels, and you can imprint on them as well in order to deal more damage and have more health. And you just want to stay away from raptors because they are hella annoying and they can do that to you. But the Baryonyx is still easily able to contend with a lot of these creatures. A couple of creatures you probably wouldn't be able to contend with without leveling up or imprinting is definitely a Rex or a Spino, especially if the Spino has his buff, and we've lost our Baryonyx. He's just faded into nowhere. So you want to make sure that you've got this guy leveled up in health and melee damage in order to contend with those bigger dudes, especially the raptors. If you do get grappled off them, you want your Baryonyx to be able to kill them straight away so you don't die from them. But yeah, the Baryonyx, he's a dual ocean and land mount, and he can jump. He is pretty fast on land as well. He obviously doesn't have that stun ability like I said, but he can easily deal with a lot of the creatures that you find on the land, as well as the creatures in the water as well. And that is new. I did not know raptors had the ability to actually pin a Baryonyx. I don't know if it's true, but that was buggy as heck. Alrighty guys, coming in at number 8, we have the Argy. Now, the Argy is pivotal for literally anything you do in Ark. His weight is amazing, his stamina is awesome, his health is meh, it's okay, and his melee damage is pretty decent as well. But these guys can survive a beating, they can ferry resources across the map, they can carry multiple creatures, especially Ankies and Doedicurus's, which are pivotal for mining resources, gathering stone, and even the beavers can be picked up with the Anki, which enable you to harvest wood, as well as Baryonyxes, believe it or not. So the Argy is really great at just doing all of these things and ferrying resources across the map. It reduces the amount of resources in his inventory by a certain percentage as well. For example, metal gets reduced by 50%. You can see in our inventory it weighs 89, in his it weighs 44.5, so it reduces it by 50%, as well as obsidian, crystal, stone, and I believe wood is one of them as well. So this guy is really good for just going out gathering resources with other tames and just bringing it all back to base. You can easily get these guys' weight up to 4k if you level it all purely into weight. As well as that, their stamina is really awesome for just going across the map. These guys can travel long distances without having to land in short bursts of time like the Pteranodon. Only downside is that obviously these guys are slower, but if you do get into a fight with the Argentavis, these guys are more than capable of dealing with it as well. You can see here they hit for about 85, well our one does at the moment anyway, a level 150, and these guys are more than capable of dealing with Rexes, Spinos, Brontos, you name it. And if you do struggle for health, well then you can simply kill something, go up to it, harvest its body with your Argy, and you will get the, I guess you could sort of just, regeneration buff, which pretty much causes your Argy to regenerate rapidly over 20 seconds. Now, you can pair this with whatever you're killing and any other corpse you find in the wild, even your own player corpse. So if you do die and, you just want to restore your Argy's health real quick, chuck a sleeping bag down, kill yourself, and get your Argy to harvest your body. Obviously, there are a lot easier means to do so. For example, killing dodos will easily do the trick for you. But yeah, the Argy is just an absolute amazing tame, and I would definitely recommend getting yourselves an Argy. Now guys, coming in at number 7, we have the Therizinosaurus. This guy is going to be your king wood gatherer, your king berry gatherer, and possibly, if you didn't want to really bother going about taming up other dudes, your thatch gatherer. Now, he's not the best thatch gatherer, but he is one of the better wood and berry gatherers, as well as fiber. This guy can literally do everything you want in a herbivore, which is absolutely awesome. And you obviously can tame up other herbivores, but this guy has the capabilities to do everything for you. He's also capable of gathering meat, hide, chitin, you name it, this guy can do it and gather it. This guy's easily able to go toe to toe with Rexes, with Spinos, even dealing with bosses. So you definitely want to invest in some Theris. They are well worth it. As well as that, these guys produce extraordinary eggs, I believe. Not extraordinary, the one below extraordinary, so the second best tier of kibble. These guys produce those eggs, which is absolutely phenomenal, and it's going to make producing kibble a lot easier for you. But like I said, this guy can do pretty much everything a herbivore can do. And these guys, in terms of taming, aren't too difficult if you build a trap and you lure them into the trap and you don't get hit too many times. As well as that, they are really good for PvP, but you won't be using these guys for PvP if you are using them on a single player world, unless of course you're running mods like the NPC mod. But yeah, these guys are just kings at what they do, and I would heavily recommend getting yourselves a Theri, and that is why they come in at number 7. Now guys, coming in at number 6, we have the Gacha. Now, I love the Gacha. He is one of the best creatures in all of Ark, in my opinion. This guy has the ability to produce certain resources. So you can currently see here, we've got one that has the ability to produce metal, congealed gas spores, silica pearls, stone, thatch, sand, and you can select whichever one you want. You can select it to be random, you name it. Now, you can also get Gachas that have the ability to produce element dust. It is a lot rarer than the standard stuff, but these guys are also capable of producing aberration type materials, as well as oil, fungal wood, raw salt, fiber, you name it. So if you get a bunch of these guys and you keep them at certain distances from each other, because they do stop production once they get this sort of sad effect where they're not paired up anymore and they won't look at you. If you do set these guys up correctly, or with the help of mods, you can effectively have a huge farming situation going on. You can see here black pearls, crystals, where you won't even need to go out and harvest resources anymore. You can just get your Gachas to do it for you and produce a crap ton of items. All you would need to do is feed them seeds or stone. It's entirely up to you. You can also feed them snow owl pellets if you want sort of rarer stuff, or you want it in larger quantities. These guys are really good, and if you are lucky, you can get Element Dust as one of the collectible items. Like I said, it is very difficult sometimes to get, and it depends solely on luck as well. You can see here we've got about 7 of them, and none of them yet have the ability to produce Element Dust. But these guys are great for just going around and producing whatever resources you want. Like I said, keep them in your base, breed them, do whatever you want with them, and they will produce whatever resource they have available to them. So guys, that's why the Gacha comes in. Now guys, coming in at number 5, we have the Yutyrannus. Now, this guy he's not as powerful as a Rex. He has slightly less melee damage, but he does have the ability to do the buff roar as well as the debuff roar. Now, these roars are really good because they obviously buff your dinos, and this is really useful for in boss fights and whatnot, as well as having the debuff roar, which you can use on wild dinos, and this will actually cause them to take more damage. So, in a way, it does actually deal more damage than a Rex. Its base damage is the only thing that is lacking. But this guy is absolutely phenomenal at dealing with enemy dinos with his roars, as well as buffing your fellow dinos with the courage buff roar, which causes them to deal more damage in turn. So if you pair this with the the scary debuff roar, you can deal some serious damage to wild dinos. And, you know, this guy is really great for boss fights as well because he has the ability to buff all of your other dinos in the boss fight, causing them to take less damage as well as deal more damage. And these guys are pretty similar in terms of taming because they are entirely like a Rex, as well as that they are also one of the highest producers of the kibble. They actually make the highest tier of kibble, which will enable you to tame up a lot of other creatures with their eggs. So if you get a pair of these guys, you will be producing eggs like crazy, and that'll enable you to pretty much tame any single creature on the arcs. So guys, let's move on to number 4. Now guys, coming in at number 4, we have the Reaper King. This guy is an absolute monster when it comes to dealing damage and taking damage. This guy can hit like a truck, and he absorbs like a truck. If there is no presence of a light pet, this guy can withstand some serious damage. However, if there is a light pet, you do need to be careful because these guys will take a lot of damage if there is a light pet involved. But these guys don't have a saddle. They are relatively hard to tame, but I mean, to raise, you know, the process of taming up Reaper Kings. But if you do manage to get one, they are invaluable. They've got quite a lot of health. You can see here, this one was a 150 tamed with 15k to health. He's got 730 in weight, and he hits for about 200 damage. So these guys are definitely not lacking in the HP department or the melee damage department. These guys can easily go toe-to-toe with Gigas. In fact, these are probably the best dino you can use on Gigas, aside from probably Kentros, possibly. You know, these guys are absolute machines. Now, as well as that, they are able to traverse pretty easily because they do have the ability to jump. They can slow down creatures as well, so if you're in the process of trying to tame a creature, you can actually jump on your Reaper King real quick, shoot out his poisonous spores, I guess you could call them, and that will actually slow down the creature while dealing minimal damage. You can see there that Stego is an absolute sloth right now for 10 seconds because we've hit him with these poisonous spores. And like I said, they don't do too much damage. Each spore does 9 damage, so you can easily pair this with a long neck rifle with trank darts and enable yourself to tame them up. And if they do get too close, you can back them off again with the C button and deal a little bit of damage. Do be careful though, because you could potentially kill them if you aren't careful, but this does pair well with taming them up. But yeah guys, the Reaper Kings come in at number 4. There's nothing really else to say about them. I think I've covered everything about them. Just be careful of anyone who's got a light pet, but if you are in single player, you won't need to worry about that, and these guys will pretty much be your go-to mounts for a lot of things. So guys, let's move on to number 3. Alrighty guys, now coming in at number 3, we have the Rock Drake. Now, the Rock Drake, in my opinion, is slightly better than the Reaper King because of this damn ability. Look at how amazing it is. Now, in my opinion, the Rock Drake is the fastest mount in the game because of his glide ability. It is actually faster than flying, and if you can get the angle right, you can pretty much glide for a very long time. and, you know, still not lose any speed. And if you do lose speed, you can simply do that, and I don't know what the actual move is called, but you can launch yourself to another platform and then just simply gain a little bit of height and repeat the process. This enables you to glide for a very long time, and he is very fast. Now, as well as that, this guy is a really good swimmer. We actually had the Spino slotted in on this list, but we decided to replace the Spino with the Rock Drake because the Rock Drake is just as good a swimmer. Now, obviously, the Rock Drake does not receive the buff like the Spino does, but he still is able to hit damn hard in the water, and he is able to move pretty fast in the water. As well as that, he does have quite an oxygen meter on him as well. So he's definitely worth investing in, and I definitely recommend getting a couple of Rock Drake eggs for yourself because this guy is an absolutely phenomenal tame to have, and I love him. Now, as well as that, he has the ability to climb on any surface due to his sticky thing, so make sure you implement a lot of stamina into this guy as well because it is very useful. And he also has the ability to go invisible, which you can actually use to hide from certain wild dinos. As well as that, he does also have a tech saddle which is capable of firing the tech blasts as well, which once again increases his usefulness as well. But yeah guys, let's move on to number 2 now. Alrighty guys, now coming in at number 2 we have the Mosasaur. Now, the reason why the Mosasaur is a lot higher than some of the other creatures on the list is because you can build the base on the back of him. Like, how pretty cool. That's pretty damn awesome if you ask me. Now, obviously, this guy, I think, is pretty much the only real sort of pure underwater creature we have on this list. But the Mosasaur is definitely worth it, and the fact that you can build a base on the back of him just makes him significantly better, in my opinion, which is why we've got him on the number 2 spot, because I think in single player, having that ability to have a dino that has a base on his back underwater just gives you that extra comfort. It gives you that extra sort of realism, and you can kind of go nomadic and just live wherever you want to as long as you've got your Mosasaur. As well as that, these guys have a crap ton of weight. Look at that, 2,000 weight. You can easily buff it up. They've got a crap ton of health. They've got a crap ton of melee damage, and they're relatively fast in the ocean. Now, you've obviously got like Tusos and stuff like that, but you can't build bases on the back of them like you can the Mosasaur. So I definitely recommend the Mosasaur, and I definitely think he's worth it with the saddle on him as well. So definitely check out the Mosasaur, guys. He's a lot of fun, and building the base on the back of an underwater creature is really worth it. So guys, let's find out what number 1 is. Now guys, coming in at number 1, we have the Quetzal. Now, very similar to the Mosasaur, this guy gets the number 1 spot because of having that ability to build the base on the back of him. Now, you guys might be wondering why the Bronto and the Parasa aren't on the list. Well, it's because they're a lot slower than these two dudes. The Mosasaur can swim really fast underwater, and the Quetz can simply just fly over everything. Granted, he's not the fastest, but his stamina makes up for it, as well as the ability to build on the back of him. Now, you can obviously hop off him as well. He won't land, and your base will stay there, and his stamina will slowly regenerate, which is really good for you, as well as the ability to build the base on the back of him. You can simply park this guy up in your skybox, or take him wherever the heck you want to. You can take this guy around the entire map if you wanted to. As long as you've got your base on the back of him, it makes things a lot easier. Like I said, everything can be kept in cryopods now as well, which makes transporting your dinos heck a lot easier as well. So if you ever need to, pull out an Anki to go get some metal, you can uncryo him and then simply cryo him back up, stick him in your cryo fridge, which would take up a tiny amount of space on the back of your Quetzal. And, it's just a lot of fun to build a base on the back of a dino and move it wherever the heck you want. It makes it very nomadic, and I think it's a really good experience to have for your single player world. But guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. Let me know what you thought of the video down below. Let me know if I missed any dinos you guys think should be on the list. But other than that, guys, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe down below for more. But other than that, I will catch you in the next one. I got this soda.